Hi guys, welcome to today's video. In today's video, we're going to continue our What If Civilization Restarted series. And well, it's been a long time since I stopped making them that often because I kind of started losing views and not getting many. So I'm hoping this video will get lots of views and maybe the series can come back. So let's get into it with part 1. Yeah, part 1. It's divided into parts. What a surprise. The Orange Empire deciding to go against... No, never mind. 1 minute. That was a mistake, but... The Orange Empire deciding to go after this empire. The blue one. To take back its empire. Yes, it wants it back. Yes, the peace treaty didn't really stop them. You can't stop them from wanting to expand. It's the Orange Empire's goal in life. Although the Blue Empire resists it very well, pushing them back out of the north. And they push them back as they cross the border into this area. As they end up falling out of this nation and getting pushed back. Now this land over here being occupied, which leads to the Orange Empire, which I think I called Kirtland or whatever. Yeah. I don't really know. Because it's been a long time. The Ionian Empire we had. What's it, like, Nalad or something? I can't remember. So we'll have to rename these. Please give a name in the comments. Now the Orange Empire having moved through that nation, they take advantage of this to move into here. As they occupy a lot of land. And they start pushing them back out of some of these lands. And well, they start pushing this nation back. But they start to realize a complete victory is almost impossible. But they continue in it anyways. With them using this to launch a quick spearhead breaking through a weakness in the front. They use this to move into here. With an encirclement here, it's forced to surrender. And well, this empire is not happy about that. And well, they move like this and then down with another encirclement. With their failing, with a stalemate being achieved again. But they manage to find 2 weak spots and start advancing, which leads to an encirclement. With pink forces sending volunteers to support this nation. And then, well, they move north. And they take it over. With this, they annex 2 countries. Yay. They greatly expanded themselves. They're back to where they want to be. And well, this nation begins an invasion of the Golden Empire. Why? You may be wondering. Because, well, they believe it's a good opportunity for them to get land. With the Blue Empire also seizing this opportunity and moving south along the water, which is the Adriatic Sea to us. I don't know what they named it because we didn't come up with a name. With the rest of this nation falling like this. And in the peace treaty, well, they decide to draw the border, and they draw it along the lines of occupation. Well, with them both annexing a lot of valuable lands, with this blue nation being proud of it, with the teal nation also being happy about this. Although there is still expansionist nations in this region, none have the expansion right now, so let's go to part 2 of this video, in which we go to the eastern part, or Asia in our timeline. With rebels that are very pro them being sponsored across the empire. And well, realizing the magnitude of the situation with rebels occupying these lands, they move forces in, which isn't too hard for them. But as this is happening, attack is launched from here, with the forces across here dressing up like the rebels here and moving towards here to cut it off. With this having rebel forces blockading it, and then their forces start entering, with everyone shocked as they take back key lands. With them crossing, and well, the Gold Empire in trouble. And well, they move them back and launch an offensive in this direction, which pushes them back greatly. But unfortunately, they're still losing land to the Blue Empire, which starts an offensive up here. And they move into these lands in this puppet. I think it's a puppet, but might be directly part of it. With them deciding to withdraw from here, in return, these forces withdraw from there. With us greatly weakening the nation, but greatly strengthening this one, which is what their goal was. Well, the Red Empire, you may be wondering, is anything going to happen here? Well, yes, they do something. You may be wondering, what do they do? Well, they start a conflict with this nation, with the goal of creating a puppet. Well, knowing where this empire is from, they continue their offensive with the goal of liberation, is what they call it, even though they plan to annex lands and create a puppet. Not very liberation, not as liberation as they're acting. With them crossing into the terrain here, which is a lot of mountains. With them quickly having a full-on front cross. Well, they move down here to launch an encirclement and add a few hundred troops, probably, maybe even 1,000. And then another encirclement is created over here. And well, they also get pushed back from here. With the Green Empire being forced to launch a counter-offensive. And it kind of fails. And then moving further. And in the north, they encircle this area, and with failure to reoccupy it, they start to lose it. With them realizing they need to get to peace soon. Sooner than later. But with a lot of arguments within. It makes them launch an offensive like this, and this leads to this area getting encircled and then falling. And then, like that, they push back over here. Well, before the situation spirals out of control, they decide to go to the peace. And well, it gets to these borders before peace. So let's see what happens in the peace treaty. With the Red Empire annexing tiny bits of lands and then making a puppet over here. Yes, and the puppet has some coastline, which is good. Now that we're done with part 2, let's go to part 3. And yes, it happens over here. With this nation here upset at this empire for what they're doing. So they start sponsoring rebels. The Blue Rebels is the first group to rise up. And they want their nation back, and it's located around here. And then they fund another group that has a land claim in this area. And they're about over here. And they quickly march to occupy what the rebels groups believes in. And you may be saying, how is this empire not fighting back? Well, they're trying to, but they're failing. And then here a big group of forces gets encircled. And quickly, these forces move in and occupy it. And while you might think that's done, there can't be that many rebel groups potential. They fund another group, which is located around here. And they mostly are around the coast with their key lands. And they move up the coast to take what's theirs. And in the center, there's another group. And they're located around the north. With them occupying what's their land? Well, let's see a peace treaty. As you can see, the collapse of this empire wasn't that great for them. This nation's managing to continue with stability. But how long will it stay stable? That's a question. But with this nation over here, managing to start an invasion, but then quickly occupying these lands as they move deeper into the country. With them realizing they might struggle to continue to hold these lands, they try to get a nation involved, which does have some lands they want to get from this nation. With them occupying the lands that they've really wanted from this empire, and they continue their advances. And this nation doesn't know, but another nation's coming for it. Because they just wanted to annex these lands. With them realizing they need to go to peace soon. As this nation doesn't do that, but let's leave that there. As they move into here, up the coast a bit, and over to here. This nation agrees to give up territories. So let's see the peace treaty. For nations, they've become more unstable. But let's go to the next part, which is part 4. Well, in part 4, the Green Empire decides it's time to take its lands back. Yes, the last few times they tried that, it went bad, but this time they think it'll work. With them moving in to take the, mouth of the Mississippi River, basically blocking it off. With this lands here being quickly occupied. With them becoming the two main nations in the area. And they're always at war with each other. But we don't need a concern about that. Well, they quickly take a lot of lands to the north. With the Red Empire coming back with an offensive of its own. With them crossing the boundaries down to here. And down over here. And they also move down here. With them trying to continue to hold the Mississippi, they continue down here. But the Green Empire, realizing what those nations are after, they decide maybe meet for peace now. So let's see how the peace treaty goes. Peace treaty, a lot of lands were taken from them, but they managed to get this peninsula. And well, the problem is that they keep fighting over this land, right? These lands, right? These lands are starting to develop a different culture and starting to not like either nation and want independence from both. So yeah, there's a third nation that might be coming, but for now, let's go to part 5. Well, in part 5, nothing much really happens, but yeah. Oh, let's do something in South America. With this nation, the strongest one here, deciding to go against these lands. And yeah, they take it over. There's no doubt about it, though. And they go for full annexation. Pretty common for nations to do, if you ask me, when they win a war. and they fully take it over. And that's pretty much all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Wild Mapper out, and not until you subscribe, so please subscribe, everyone!